It always seemed like Tyra Banks had it all together, a trailblazer in the modeling world, a successful television host, and an empowering figure for women across generations. But behind the polished smile and confident strut, there were whispers, rumors that she wasn't just a victim of the industry, but possibly complicit in some of its darkest secrets. Now, after years of silence, Tyra has finally broken her silence about what she knows, and it points directly at someone many believed was above reproach, Naomi Campbell. Tyra didn't come forward with wild accusations or unverified claims. Instead, she painted a picture built on personal experience, long-standing tension, and a history of betrayal that stretched back decades. Her revelations centered around Naomi's alleged role in facilitating what many are now calling freak-offs, parties hosted by Diddy Combs, where young models and entertainers were allegedly drugged, manipulated, and coerced into sexual acts. According to Tyra, Naomi wasn't just present at these events, she played an active part in setting them up, using her influence to lure aspiring talent into situations they couldn't escape. The beef between Tyra and Naomi has been well documented over the years, often framed as a rivalry rooted in professional competition. Both were top black supermodels in the 90s and early 2000s, each commanding attention and respect in a space where few women of color had ever reached such heights. But now, the real reason behind their long-standing animosity is coming to light, and it goes far beyond jealousy or ego. Tyra claimed that she knew who Naomi was associating with long before the recent wave of lawsuits and criminal investigations surrounding Diddy. She said she was introduced to him on her 31st birthday by her ex-boyfriend Flavio, a name that doesn't ring familiar to most people outside of Naomi's inner circle. It was during this time that she says Naomi began introducing her to a network of powerful men who operated under the radar of mainstream scrutiny. What started as networking soon turned into something more sinister. Tyra made it clear that she wasn't accusing underage individuals of wrongdoing, pointing out that many of the victims at these parties were adults who had technically chosen to be there, but she also emphasized that consent becomes meaningless when intoxicants are involved, especially when those substances are slipped into drinks without warning. She didn't claim to have witnessed everything firsthand, but she did say she became increasingly uncomfortable with the company Naomi kept, particularly when it came to Diddy. Naomi's name had already surfaced in multiple investigations involving Diddy, including allegations that she helped procure young models from Africa to attend his infamous parties. Some reports even suggest that she offered access to her own contacts in exchange for favors or career opportunities. While none of this has been proven in court, the pattern of behavior is difficult to ignore. One of the most damning pieces of evidence against Naomi came from Snoop Dogg himself. During an industry party, Diddy reportedly spiked Snoop's drink in the same way he allegedly did with countless others. Once Snoop was incapacitated, Diddy allegedly began touching him inappropriately, and Naomi was in the room the entire time. Witnesses later confirmed that she did nothing to stop it. It wasn't until Snoop's wife burst in and pulled him away that the incident ended. If not for her intervention, the situation could have escalated further. This wasn't the first time Naomi found herself tangled in controversy. Back in 2010, she was subpoenaed to testify against former Liberian President Charles Taylor, who was accused of funding civil war atrocities through the sale of blood diamonds. Naomi initially denied receiving any gifts from Taylor, but under oath she admitted that she had indeed accepted a pouch of rough-cut stones from two men who showed up at her door in the middle of the night while she was staying at Nelson Mandela's home in South Africa. She claimed she never opened the pouch because she was too tired, and when she finally did, she didn't recognize the contents as diamonds because they looked like dirty pebbles. The story didn't hold up under scrutiny. Her former assistant Carol White and actress Mia Farrow both testified that Naomi knew exactly what she was getting and was thrilled about it. They described how Naomi flirted with Taylor throughout the evening and proudly showed off the diamonds the next morning. If that weren't enough, Naomi also found herself linked to Jeffrey Epstein, the disgraced financier accused of running a sex trafficking ring involving underage girls. Records show that Naomi allegedly took multiple flights aboard Epstein's private jet, known as the Lolita Express, between 2001 and 2003. Two of those trips originated from the US Virgin Islands, where Epstein owned a private island that became synonymous with depravity. When asked about her relationship with Epstein, Naomi denied knowing what he was doing, saying it sickened her to hear about his crimes. But critics argue that simply claiming ignorance isn't enough when you've repeatedly accepted gifts and traveled aboard private jets belonging to known predators. And then there's the matter of Elsa Majimbo, a Kenyan influencer who recently went public with her own troubling experience involving Naomi. Elsa said she was excited to meet Naomi during a trip to Nairobi, only to find herself caught in a web of manipulation. After exchanging messages and meeting for shopping, Naomi invited Elsa and her brother to join her on a private plane back to the United States. Once on board, Elsa said Naomi introduced her to several wealthy men in Hollywood, hinting that she could help boost her career if she played along. But things took a dark turn when one of those men told Elsa that Naomi had taken credit for building her brand. Confused and upset, Elsa confronted Naomi, who responded with hostility. Their friendship quickly unraveled, and Naomi cut contact entirely. Elsa said the fallout affected her deeply. She began drinking heavily and spiraled into a period of self-destructive behavior. Months later, she met Edward Enninful, editor-in-chief of British Vogue, who hinted that her struggles might be tied to Naomi's disapproval. That revelation sent Elsa down a rabbit hole of self-reflection and healing, but it also exposed a side of Naomi that few had seen before, a woman willing to use her connections to manipulate and control younger models for her own benefit. Tyra's decision to speak out now raises questions about her own motives. Is she genuinely trying to protect others from falling into the same traps, or is she trying to distance herself from the growing scandal? Because while she pointed fingers at Naomi, others have begun questioning her own past actions, particularly regarding her popular show America's Next Top Model. Former contestants have accused Tyra of mistreating them on set, forcing them to confront painful memories for entertainment value, and pushing them into uncomfortable situations. Some claim she used psychological tactics to break them down emotionally, making them easier to control. These allegations led Tyra to temporarily delete her social media accounts and retreat from the spotlight for a while. Adding fuel to the fire is an accusation from someone named Ali Carter, who released a video naming Tyra, Megan Fox, and Steve Harvey as potential escapees, celebrities who may have fled the country to avoid being implicated in Diddy-related investigations. Ali suggested that these figures had their own ties to the alleged exploitation of young models and performers and were now trying to cover their tracks. Ali's claims included disturbing details about the nature of the so-called pig nights, events where participants were allegedly forced to engage in degrading acts, sometimes involving bodily fluids. She said that if someone vomited or defecated during these incidents, they were made to lay in it or even consume it, all for the amusement of powerful men with twisted fetishes. While these allegations remain unproven, they contribute to a broader narrative of systemic abuse within the entertainment industry, a culture where power, influence, and secrecy allowed predators to operate unchecked for decades. Back in 2006, the now-defunct blog Bad Boy Forever published a story detailing Diddy's extravagant appearance on the Tyra Banks show. He arrived via helicopter, greeted by a red carpet, butlers, and screaming fans. In return, Tyra gifted him a double stroller for his unborn twin daughters, complete with built-in speakers and mobile phone attachments. At the time, it was seen as a light-hearted moment between two icons, but in hindsight, it reads like a transactional exchange, a sign of favoritism that may have gone deeper than anyone realized. Some believe that Tyra used America's Next Top Model as a pipeline for Diddy's operations, offering fresh faces and vulnerable young women to his world of excess. Whether or not this is true remains unclear, but the timing and relationships involved make it difficult to dismiss entirely. What's undeniable is that both Tyra and Naomi were operating within the same circles that included some of the most powerful and dangerous men in entertainment, and whether they actively participated or simply looked the other way, the consequences are still being felt today. Naomi, once revered as a fashion icon, has seen her reputation crumble in recent years. She was removed from her own charity in the UK after financial discrepancies were discovered. She's been called a pathological liar, a manipulator, and a predator herself. Meanwhile, Tyra's attempt to position herself as a whistleblower has only opened old wounds and raised new questions about her own integrity. As the legal cases continue to unfold, more names will likely surface, more survivors will come forward, and more secrets will be dragged into the light. For now, the focus remains on Diddy, but behind him stand dozens of enablers, facilitators, and gatekeepers who help maintain a system built on exploitation. Naomi Campbell may be the most visible symbol of that system right now, but she's far from the only one. Tyra Banks' revelations have done little to absolve her. Instead, they've deepened the mystery and left many wondering who else might be hiding in the shadows. The truth is messy, it's complicated, and it doesn't fit neatly into headlines or viral videos. But one thing is certain, the facade is cracking, and no amount of fame or fortune can hide the damage beneath. As more people come forward, the full extent of what happened in those rooms and who was responsible will become clearer. Until then, we're left with fragments, stories of coercion, betrayal, and survival. Stories that remind us that even the most glamorous lives can hide the darkest truths. Whether Naomi Campbell will face legal consequences remains to be seen. Whether Tyra Banks truly deserves the moral high ground is still in question, but one thing is undeniable: the reckoning has begun, and it won't stop until every secret is uncovered.